started. And it's not really just a book about, menopause. There's that.
Yeah.
But the beginning of the book really starts with, how do you pick a doctor?
Yeah.
What's important about your medical history? People don't even understand, like, what happens to your medical record? Like, people think, well, I've got an electronic medical record. Somebody's going to just type in and get it. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of practical advice, and it's also a lot of common sense advice, because this is the stuff I've learned from my mother. I didn't learn from medical school.
Okay.
Because, when I grew up, we had no relationships with physicians. You went to the doctor if you were sick, period. My mother would, she would look at you like you had lost your mind. And we said, I'm going to the doctor and I'm just going for a well person visit. She said, well, why are you going?
Yeah.
That was, and that attitude about how to change that, that relationship with medicine, and to really get the word out again to our community that there is way more that we have in our control.
Yeah.
And we are beyond the point where you can even have the expectation that your doctors got you. I can assure you they don't.
Yeah.
So that means you're in control of your health, and you're in control of, how you're going to prevent diseases. We don't talk enough about that, about prevention. We're spending way too much time on the back end after something has already happened. So these are the kinds of things that I talk about. Some of, I tell a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I tell stories about my family and growing up, because I want the readers to understand this. I'm not lecturing to you as a doctor. I'm talking to you as a sister, as a friend, as a mother, and the things that I would like my family members to know, and the things that I've sort of helped them navigate. And I realize that's how I'm speaking to people in this book, and some of it's funny, you can't be too heavy all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to make it fun for me, I don't know if you know this, but, if I weren't a doctor, I think I would have been a DJ.
Okay.
I would have been a musician, except I have no musical talent. So, so I'll just be the DJ. And so I have musical playlists throughout the book just to make it light.
Yeah.
Because I think that, everything doesn't have to be so heavy and so hard.
Absolutely. Who are some of your favorite artists right now? I guess I would say.
So I read my new people. I already see my new people. Masego. Love Masego.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Cleo Soul.
Yeah.
Love her. Old school Erykah Badu. She's always going to be in my list.
Erykah earlier.
She's my girl. Yeah. And then there's a new guy, and see, you would like him, Jared Lawson.
Okay.
But, he's something else. He's a white boy, I think, from Oregon. You can't get any whiter than that, right?
Yeah.
But he is amazing. So those are like the people that are on the top of my playlist right now.
Yes.
But then, I'm old school, so, there's always going to be the old folks, Parliament Funkadelic. I'm just from the funk era.
Yeah. I inherited a box of vinyls that my dad was like getting throughout his community.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a vinyl player, and I was like, oh, where'd you get all those vinyls from, right? And so like they were like, what was he? I think he was saying they was selling like snacks, right? And if you didn't have the money, you could just bring him some music. And so there's crates of it, and so it's just a beautiful thing. So I have all that funk era stuff and all that. Yeah,
I love it. And let me say, and nothing makes me happier than you have this thing. It's like, everybody knows the basic, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Like James Brown, Stevie Wonder. Yes, and I love all that. Yeah, I love all that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to, what makes me really happy is finding somebody new.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, then I go turn my friends on to them. The next thing, I'm going to credit, that I actually probably could have been a musical talent scout, because I have an ear for, what the next thing is going to be. And we still laugh about this, because the people that I thought were new when I discovered them, they're like old established artists now. Kim.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Erykah Badu when she first came out, and that was probably 30 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
A little while. Yeah.
It's been a minute.
I was very young,
Yeah.
I like to think I had like that old soul because I was singing it.
Well, if you have parents who are playing that, then
Absolutely.
that sort of it gets in your head. Gets in your head.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a new guy, a British guy. I think El Meany is his name.
Oh, El Meany.
You would love. He's amazing. He is amazing. Singing like kind of. There's this guy Anderson .Paak who says like no one even begs anymore, and one of these songs, it's that old school, just crooning type of thing.
I'm gonna say, all right, here are a couple of them. Yebba.
Yeah. Okay. Yep,
like Yebba, like Moonchild.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of, smooth.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now we were talking a little bit about the book and about like your experience, reflecting on the historical experience of the Black community. How do you perceive resilience as an inherent part of Black cultural narrative?
You have to have it.
You got
the people that didn't have resilience aren't here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I tell you a little bit as we're talking about Black history and now it's Women's History Month. It was sort of built into my family. I tell you, my sister, Vivian Malone, who has since passed away, was she was the first Black graduate of the University of Alabama. And anybody who has seen those iconic pictures of George Wallace standing in the schoolhouse door at the University of Alabama, he was standing in the door to keep my sister out.
Yeah.
And so imagine that you're 20 years old and it takes the might of the federal government, and troops to just let you do the most basic of things, to attend a state university. As I told you, we've been in Alabama for as long as it's been in Alabama.
Yeah.
And to be denied a public education. I mean, that builds in a certain amount of grit and resilience. And I grew up watching her. I grew up watching my mother, who I can't even imagine how you have 8 children and live on the amount of money that my parents lived on. My mom was a maid. My dad, and my dad was a janitor, maintenance worker. But by the time I was born, he was retired.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a lot, and I can't say that I wasn't aware of the fact that we didn't have a lot, but it was a little bit better for me because I was last than it was for my older brothers and sisters. So everybody, that resilience, that grit, that get up, get it done. That's how I see the world. Yeah. I don't expect that anybody's coming to get me. Yeah. I don't expect it. So, and I think that is a very valuable mindset to have because for most people, that's what's true in the world. That's the reality. No, if you're expecting someone to take care of you, good luck.
Hard road.
Good luck.
Yes. How would you say? What suggestions would you say for like younger folk out there to kind of cultivate that resiliency in contemporary America? How would you kind of suggest they do that now?
First off, I would say, the basics have never changed. And it starts with really getting a good education. And if you don't get a good education in the school where you live, then you need to find other sources, other mentors, find after school programs, something, because without it, it's just hard to move around in the world. And I mean, when I say education, I don't mean just traditional education. Learn a skill, find out something that, young people are great. They're way better than I am with computers and and technology and all of this stuff that's not going away. And because traditional jobs aren't there. They're not there. And the jobs that my mother and my father did, these are jobs now that immigrants do. Look around every time you're somewhere and you say, who's cleaning the office? Who's cleaning floors? Who's doing all this stuff? That was the stuff that my parents did. Absolutely. And I think and the next generation of young people, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Not having it.
So
if you're not going to do that, then you got to figure out your way. Learn to do something. So I say learning is an experience that, is not just limited to what you learn in the classroom. My parents had very little in the way of formal education. Yeah. But they got it. They figured out was okay, Common sense, I think, is a little lacking. But
it's hiding sometimes. Right now, I think something very important that you talked about that's just been so true in my life and the lives of the students. I was a teacher for 7 years, and also in the boys that I mentored through my fraternity, is that you need these mental frameworks,
right,
to move through the world.
Right.
And so when you say education isn't just what you get in the classroom, right? It's the social interactions you're having in the classroom and outside of the classroom,
right,
in school and in your Walmarts or wherever you might find yourself.
Yeah.
Life is a class of education that you have to be receptive to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And, and the thing that I make a point of in my book is that, I went to medical school. I learned as much from my mother about how to take care of things and, and how to judge who's sick, who's not sick. She learned that by, necessity.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she knew it, she had it. And so she passed that on to me. And those are the kinds of life experiences that you can't get out of a book. They can't teach you that in med school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. What is your definition of success, and how has that been cultivated by your community, your family, and your experiences? I mean, you've done a lot. So what is your definition of success? Let's take me through that.
It's changed over, you get to have a different definition depending on what decade of life you're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was in my 20s, it was being able to live in my own apartment and be able to hang out. And, that was, I was like, oh, I'm good. Because before I went to med school, I worked for IBM for 3 years. Okay. So I thought I was like, okay, I'm good. But in my 30s, when I got to med school, I wanted to do well. I wanted to get out there and do something for people and for women. And I did that. I had my children, and success for me was at that point in my life raising whole children. And I have 3, and I've done that. So that's why I said it depends on where you are in life. But the one thing that success has never been high, that was never high on my list of things, is how much money I had.